You may know Fresh Patch from Shark Tank, Oprah, or The Today Show. This is the Fresh Patch Podcast, where good pets get it. Sit back, put your paws up, and enjoy the show. Welcome, everybody, to the Fresh Patch Podcast. I am your host, Drew, with my amazing co-host, Mr. Gabe, to my right for all the viewers. And we have an amazing guest on the pod today, Kristen Levine. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, guys. Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, of course. I know we've been started working a little earlier this year with each other, partnership-wise. With the Pet Anxiety Awareness Month. I know that just ended as well, so hopefully you saw success from that.
Yeah, it was great. We're actually gonna run it through July 4th just because of the fireworks, the noise fear season. So we're gonna run that through, and then we're gonna start taking a look at our results and get everybody their reports. So, I think it went really well.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And yeah, that makes sense. Got to make sure all the doggies with the fireworks. I know my dog freaks out. Mm-hmm. Most dogs do.
Yeah.
So that's a good call there.
Very common.
Yeah. So before we really dive into things, just want to let all the viewers and listeners know, hit that subscribe button if you are watching on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, give us a like, follow along on our journey of the Fresh Patch Podcast. Check out Fresh Patch on all socials at Fresh Patch, freshpatch.com for your real grass potty needs, poop bags, treats. We got you covered. And Kristen, if you don't mind shouting out your social handles, website, we'll get that in the description.
Absolutely. You want me to give them to you now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, you can find my website at KristenLevine.com. It's Kristen. There's a lot of ways to spell Kristen, so I have to spell it out. And then Levine is Levine. I'm at, so on social, I'm Pet Living, though. Pet Living. So easy to find.
There we go. We'll have that in the description for all our viewers and up on the screen. So, yeah, check her out. This is going to be a fun episode. Really excited to get to know you, and thanks again for joining.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Gabe, you wanna start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us and the audience, of course, a little bit about yourself and really what drew you into the pet industry.
Yeah, sure. So I have been working in the pet industry for, I didn't want to say how long because it's going to date me, but let's just say a long time. And, I'm a lifelong pet lover, pet parent. One time I counted it up and it was I think I've had 20, maybe it's probably more than 21 by now, but I've had about 21, 22 pets in my life. Cats, dogs, horse, goats, donkeys, chickens, mice, gerbils, I've had, name it.
You got the full zoo, It's just
the whole, yeah, exactly. And, they were just always a really important part of my life. And, I actually got into the industry because I got married and moved to Florida, and I was looking for work. I'd just gotten a communications degree, and I didn't know anybody because I moved down from Chicago. So it was I knew my husband, and that was about it. Yeah. And he introduced me to the SPCA of Tampa Bay. And I thought, I'll just be a volunteer while I'm looking for work, right? So I signed up to be a volunteer to walk dogs and, spend time with the cats. And it just so happened that they had a PR position that was open, a paid position. So I applied for that, and my volunteer career lasted about a week, and then I got hired to do PR there, and ended up being just an awesome job. That I spent 15 years there promoting stuff like, obviously, pet adoption, the importance of spaying and neutering and responsible pet care. And it was a really great way to start out in the pet world before I went on to start my own businesses.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, we always say working with animals, pretty cool job.
Yeah.
They're the best coworkers out there.
So true.
Not too many complaints with those coworkers.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. So yeah, that's great that you mentioned, your PR director role for the SPCA. That actually goes right into our next question. So what did that experience teach you about the human-animal bond that still drives you today with what you're doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I guess one thing that it taught me is that, in the shelter world, there are a lot of happy moments and a lot of sad moments, like when people would surrender their pets and things like that. And I would say, a lot of times people would surrender their pets and it didn't seem to really bother them too much, which really bothered me. But a lot of times they were just devastated that they had to surrender their pet. And all too often it was because there were problems that were like solvable. And this is, now I'm going way back, before, we had, the internet was our way of finding out solutions. So this is going back quite a ways. And people often found that when you have a problem with your pet, like a behavior problem, like, we'll talk about anxiety in a little bit, but sometimes the problem gets in the way of that bond, I was just talking last week about, I was talking about dental care for pets, and we were talking about bad dog breath. And we were talking about how even when your dog has bad breath, that gets in the way of your bond because you don't want to cuddle anymore. You don't want to get too close. And, so that's something, obviously a sign you need to go see the vet. But other problems can get in the way of that bond and kind of erode it. And so I think it just really inspired me to be a problem solver. I think that's kind of what it boils down to.
Yeah, that's such an interesting approach too. Not many people probably think that detailed. It's just like that it makes sense. Like, the breath is bad. Yeah, the breath is bad. I'm not gonna,
don't show affection.
Well,
and
anytime your dog or your cat is doing something you don't like it makes you angry at them, and so it matters, and the bond is so important because we both get such great health benefits from it.
Yeah,
totally,
definitely. So.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see. We've been talking to some trainers on the podcast recently, and just hearing about this different approach to training, where you're more like thinking about how the way that you're interacting with them is like kind of affecting the pet as well, and I feel like that really wasn't as much of a focus in the past. So
yeah, that's a really good point. We've come a long way with training methods.
Definitely. Yeah, no, a very, very long way. I mean, just the modern era, just the last 10 years, I mean, it's just night and day difference compared to like 20 years ago, growing up with just like we were talking, and we were just talking to a vet last week, we grew up, and even Gabe and I were still young, but, grew up when I got my first dog, my dad was like, she's staying outside. She's not allowed in the house, it's that approach, we're going to get the dog house, and that's where she stays and everything. And then all of a sudden slowly transitions into the home, and now she's on the couch, or we're covering the couch, no couch, but you can be inside. And now they're just cuddle bugs and all over everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Sweet. So you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned pet anxiety a little bit, but what personally drew you to become an advocate for pet anxiety?
Yeah, I credit that to my dog Buck. Buck passed many years ago, but he was kind of like my heart dog. I've had a lot of dogs, and I love them all, but he was the kind of dog that I didn't even need a leash because he would just follow me anywhere and everywhere. We were just really, really bonded. And Buck, I adopted Buck from the SPCA where I worked at the time. And I'd say when he was about 4 years old, he started to exhibit some signs of noise phobia. We lived in Florida at the time. So in the summer in Florida, you have thunderstorms pretty much every afternoon. And whether it was thunder or fireworks during a holiday, he would get kind of nervous, and he'd come sit by me and lean into me. And, you just kind of think, oh, well, he doesn't like fireworks. He doesn't like thunder. But over the years, his symptoms got progressively worse. And ultimately, it turned into separation anxiety. So now he was terrified of when we would leave the house. And it got so bad that he would literally chew into the door where we would go in and out of. He would chew into the molding and the drywall. And it got really, really bad. And matter of fact, my husband and I didn't even travel together for like 2 or 3 years because there was nobody we could leave him with because he knew he'd be such a wreck. Yeah. So finally, my vet referred me to a veterinary behaviorist. Dr. Lisa Radasta, and she explained to me. So a veterinary behaviorist is like a vet who's board certified in animal behavior, and they've obviously gone to additional schooling to learn more about the behavior. They sometimes call themselves psychiatrists for pets.
Yeah.
So, but they really can get inside your pet's head and understand what's going on. And she was the one to first explain to me that Buck is just having a panic attack, and it doesn't make sense, because when we leave, we always come home. But to him, he's terrified.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I remember she said to me, it's kind of like, imagine you're asleep in bed, you're home alone, it's like 3 a.m. and you hear somebody breaking into the house, like that fear, that panic that, you would feel. Mm-hmm. And so we spent about 3 months working on a solution, like everything from, some behavior modification to changing some of our cues when we would leave. And ultimately Buck needed medication because, his condition was so progressed. It's really hard to undo it when they've been having these fears and anxieties for so long. And that was really when Buck passed away, and I had learned so much through his, conditions, unfortunately, that I thought, oh my gosh, I work in the pet world and I didn't even understand how serious this was. Yeah. So I've got to do something to help other people understand it. Because for some people, it could be the vacuum cleaner their dog's afraid of, or the construction noise, or, going to the vet, or what have you. So yeah, Buck was definitely the inspiration for Pet Anxiety Awareness Month. And I started it 10 years ago, and we're just wrapping up our 10th year, and I was so honored that Fresh Patch was part of it this year.
Yeah, no, it was incredible to be a part of it in partnership, and of course we'll continue to be partnering in that regard. I think Fresh Patch is such a good product. It goes hand in hand with pet anxiety and stuff, and we have been telling a lot of our customers, with going back to 4th of July, the fireworks and stuff, like, even if they just need to lay on some grass, or you're bringing the potty inside, maybe they're too scared to go outside. Like that product, or, our product can really be beneficial for that. So
exactly.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah,
and not just that convenience for them, but the enrichment side of it, which I know we'll probably get into a little bit too. That was the part that I got really excited about.
Yeah, definitely. And it goes back to, I just had another question about Buck. Like you said, you had such a good bond. Do you think that's what's, like, too much of a good bond creates that anxiety? You know what I mean?
That's a really good question. And I know that back then, some veterinarians would tell us not to comfort your dog when they're scared, because that reinforces the behavior, but that has since been debunked, thank goodness. So you can comfort them. So I guess it could have had something to do with it, but it happened with my husband too. So if my husband was home and he would leave, the same ordeal would happen. So but I guess we'll never know for sure.
Yeah, he was just another stronger case of the anxiety. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. And I think too, and one thing I didn't mention is Buck had been purchased as a puppy for Christmas and then returned to the shelter when he was like 4 months old, and then we adopted him. So I think he already had these abandonment issues, and so definitely. That it didn't show up till like I said, 4 or 5 years old. But yeah,
no, that makes sense. And like what you were saying, Drew, like my dog Oliver just passed away recently. He was kind of like my hard dog, and that's okay. It's kind of like how Buck is inspiring like this whole thing for you. Like I feel like that's how it's gonna be for me. Like there'll always be a piece of him with me, But
yeah, absolutely.
What I was saying was, he had such a good connection with my entire family. Like he was so attached to us and bonded with us, just like you were saying. Didn't need a leash, he'd follow us around, that kind of thing. And he had really bad anxiety issues, so it does get me wondering, like, if maybe that's a factor that plays, like the bond that you have with them and that sort of thing.
Really.
Yeah, in all the conversations I've had with veterinary behaviorists around this, that it's a natural assumption, I think, but that's never really come up, and I've never asked that specifically. So I'm gonna trust me, I'm gonna ask that question. But
Cool.
it's hard to say what triggers the anxiety initially, and then perhaps we're accidentally reinforcing it. We don't even know. So
that's a good point. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and going back to Buck too. I mean, the story of being brought back, like it's incredible that even at that young of an age, it's affecting them. You know what I mean? Like they're going to remember that 4 months old's like, no, that was a bond that they try to create. And then boom, they're just dropped back off. And why am I in this kennel? Why am I in this cage? I thought I was with the loving family. And
exactly.
You know, so even at a young age, they can be affected. So
absolutely.
Don't give Christmas puppies back. Don't get Christmas puppies unless you're really ready to bring that puppy home.
Oh yeah.
Like you know,
we've talked to a
started. Oh, I know. Yeah, I was saying we've had plenty of other guests on the Fresh Patch podcast saying the same thing. They're like, it takes a lot of preparation. Make sure you are ready to bring, especially a puppy home. I mean, like a dog in general, but a puppy is just a whole nother story.
It's a whole nother level.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty cool though that I've been like hearing from different rescues that we've been working with that they have new initiatives where you can like kind of do a trial period, like you take the dog home for a week, you see how it goes, and so I think that's
I think they call that, is it foster to adopt?
Yes,
I think
that's
yeah.
I know that's my local shelter has that program, which I think is so smart, you know, because you kind of get the benefit of having the animal for a while. They get the benefit of a place for this animal to go while they're looking for a home, and because I think especially if you haven't had a pet in a long time or you haven't ever had a dog as an adult, it's probably not a bad idea because the commitment is pretty significant.
Definitely. Yeah. You know, get them familiar with your schedule, you know, how your schedule operates around them too. Like it just makes so much sense. You don't want to just dive right into that responsibility. So those programs are really cool and important. I'm glad, you know, across the country, it sounds like every, you know, facility is doing that and everything. So amazing. So let's dive into more Pet Anxiety Awareness Week. You just mentioned, you know, you're celebrating the 10 years. So congratulations again. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
Why was it so important to create a dedicated time to educate pet parents about fear, stress, and anxiety?
Yeah, I think at the time, it was kind of like a lot of awareness events had been popping up. And that just seemed like the easiest way to start. And it's kind of interesting because it started out as Pet Anxiety Awareness Week. And then we had, a lot of partners that wanted to get involved, and we were able to create more content. So we, after the first 2 or 3 years, we extended it to Pet Anxiety Awareness Month. Gotcha. So, but I guess because it was a time of year that we knew we could focus on it and get media attention. But now that we've been doing this for 10 years, there's so much education to be done, and there's so many different areas of pet anxiety that we're actually considering making it a year-round platform now. Well, I mean, it's accessible all the time. Yeah. But instead of talking about it just during the month of June, we want to expand the conversation. So we're kind of toying with where we're going to go from here for our 11th year.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Get the people educated. You know?
Exactly. Actually. And so important too. Like there's so many, most are, there's so many pet owners out there, and I feel like it's really, really good information for them to have. And,
and it's only going to continue to grow too, pet parents, you know?
Oh yeah.
Especially our generation. We really love our pets and,
Yeah, you guys are going to take it places it hasn't been before, and that's great because I think that one of the things that's so critical is that pet parents learn to recognize the signs of fear, anxiety, and stress early on, because they're subtle. In the beginning, they're subtle. Like it might be like with Buck, he was kind of clingy when it would storm, and that's kind of cute, right? Oh, he wants to be close to me. Yeah. Or like with dogs, it could also be panting when they're not actually hot. It could be dilated pupils. It could be kind of like a glazed expression. They could hide in a closet. With cats symptoms of anxiety are less visible. So cats might hide. They might overgroom to where they're like there's patches on their skin where their fur's missing. They might start going outside the litter box. Those are signs of stress in a cat. And it's important to recognize it early, because early intervention has such much greater outcomes than waiting too late. So, I encourage people, if their pet is doing any of these behaviors, that you can kind of tie to an event, whether it's traveling or the doorbell or what have you, it's important to talk to your vet because they can help you, first of all, identify what it is. Second of all, they can recommend, maybe some, whether it's pheromones or, anxiety wraps. They also can prescribe medication if it's, warranted. And I say that because if you let it go for too long, it's a neurochemical response that is happening in your dog or cat's brain and body. And when it happens over and over again, those neural pathways just get more reinforced. So it's a lot harder to unwind. So that's why, I think we could easily break this down into an annual thing because there are so many different types of fear, anxiety, and stress between dogs and cats that, we need to educate about. Sometimes people think they're personality traits, like, oh, she hides whenever this happens, but it's a sign. It's communication is what it is, and we were kind of, sometimes it just goes right over our head.
Yeah,
totally,
definitely.
And just completely random question here. So my family actually recently brought home a rabbit, a pet rabbit, and I know rabbits they're kind of like prone to anxiety, like being prey animals. But I was wondering if that was something that you guys had to put any sort of focus on or had any kind of information on.
Yeah. So we do focus on dogs and cats primarily, but you are right. Rabbits are predisposed to anxiety. As you can imagine, they're highly sought after prey in the wild. And we have one of our sponsors this year was Signs, which makes Secure Dog, Secure Pet, and Secure Bunny. So they make pheromones for dogs, cats, and rabbits. And it's so funny that you brought up rabbits because my aunt and uncle are coming to visit this weekend, and their pet sitter wasn't available, so they're bringing their rabbit, and I'm so excited.
So cool. Love a rabbit. Is it big? Is it small? Is it
he's about, I don't know, like maybe basketball size, but flatter.
Nice. Yeah, we had a guest on from our local shelter, part of their bunny brigade. I don't know what did you call it? Organization, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So, but she brought two bunnies, and they were massive. They were big. It was like taking up the whole patch.
Were they like so the cool. Flemish giants? I think they're called.
Oh,
there's a breed.
Big. It's just
big. Okay.
It was so cool. They didn't.
Crazy.
Big
bunny. So chill too.
Yeah, you just hold it chilled on the
I
grass the whole time.
A lot of bunnies don't really enjoy that as much, but they were like a little bit older and like more so it was really cool. And it was actually happened like before, so after my dog died, I was like, my parents were like getting kind of lonely and stuff, and I was like, we did that podcast, and I was like, maybe bunnies would be a good pet for them, and then it kind of fell into our lap, the whole situation. So pretty cool how it worked out.
Well, if they do get a bunny, actually, two bunnies are better than one bunny because they're very social animals. So.
That's what I hear.
Just saying.
Just saying.
I've been in their ear about that.
Yeah, check it out. I don't know if you saw our post or the viewers too. Gabe has a really fun story with that. We actually found it here. The rabbit was roaming around our warehouse and offices and stuff. So he legit rescued it and everything. So it's a really cool story. He made a really fun video. You can find it on our Instagram and stuff about the whole story.
Awesome.
So
it's been a really, really cool experience.
Yeah, a very heartwarming situation and stuff. And it's funny, we were talking about all this anxiety and stuff, and I don't know if you can hear it, but my dog Oakley is barking up a storm out in the hallway right now. And I'm like, someone's doing something to him. There's sometimes we have one coworker that he just does not like. He's super friendly dog for some reason. She comes down the hall and he's like, no, and he starts barking all crazy. And some of the guys in the warehouse, I'm like, I don't know, guys, you just give him some treats. Maybe he
knows something you don't. I don't know.
Exactly. We've been trying to figure it out for almost 3 years now, so we don't know. Maybe we can talk on the side. You can help me out with that.
Right.
I think.
Does she treat him? Does she always have? You should make sure she has high value treats on her, stuff that he loves that he doesn't usually get. And then did you try that?
Yes. So we have our chicken trainer treats. It's so funny. So like, if she comes down to our side of the office, he gets defensive and barking at her all crazy. And then like, as soon as she turns around, he tries to like bark her out of the room. And I'm like. let's get back in my office. I try to recorrect him and stuff, but it gets to a point where he's just not really listening. Like, he's like, I just don't want to deal with that, you know?
Do you know, well, and it's just her, right? It's not other people?
There's one guy in the warehouse, but like, he's kind of newer, and he kind of honestly like stared at him the first time he saw him. And I was like, don't stare at him. Like, now he's skeptical, you know? You just got to, he doesn't like the hand, sniff my hand approach.
Yeah.
He just likes you to be best buddies with him right away. Like, hey, what's up? Start petting him.
Yeah.
As soon as you're hesitant, he becomes hesitant.
He's picking up on your maybe, right, like you said, hesitancy or not sure what to do.
Exactly, yeah. But it's kind of the opposite with our customer service woman. And it's funny because he'll hound her, like he'll walk down the hall, stick his head in her office, not bark. She'll toss the treats to him. Doesn't make a scene, but as soon as she's out of the office in our area, oh no, can't have it. He's barking up a storm. She brought him a peanut butter filled hoof, like a very high quality. She's like, I'm gonna get him something super good, and he just took it and ran away with his ears, with his ears back, chewed it all up, and then she came back out saying nothing.
I think he's milking this whole thing. He's getting
that's what we're saying too. We're like
getting a lot of attention and a lot of treats out of this whole thing.
He is a shepherd, so he's pretty smart.
Okay.
So it could be that.
I think it would be a fantastic case study for pet anxiety, honestly.
Yes. Oh, he would. Yeah, because he's a paw biter too. Like, we don't understand why. We think it's allergies at this point. Like, he's in a place where grass is everywhere and stuff, so he might have a little grass allergy.
That's
but
true.
He'd be a very good case for you because he was a failed foster in my world. So we signed up to foster, my girlfriend and I, and after a day we were just like, nope, we're keeping him, we're not giving him back. So
that's great.
We don't know what his past is and stuff, you know, all that fun stuff, but so sorry to get off on
no
back. I was like,
bring it back to general pet anxiety.
Yes.
So how important is an animal's environment to their overall like well-being?
Yeah, well, I think pets need to feel safe and like they have their needs met, and they need, with cats especially, they need to feel like they have all the resources that they need. And when I say that, I mean, like, you know, obviously their food, their water, their litter box. Their cats love to climb up to high places. So I think a mentally healthy pet has all those resources, and they're kind of that feeling of safety and security with their family.
Totally, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I know I can speak from personal, sorry to bring it back to personal experience again, but my dog would be so excited to go anywhere, and he'd love being there, and then an hour, 2 hours later, he'd be like, okay, take me home now, I'm ready to go back to where I'm comfortable, you know. So
exactly. Well, and I think, you know, when we adopt pets where we don't have information on their background, sometimes that's really difficult because we don't know where they were, what they were used to, what they liked. And so they're being introduced to a completely new environment, new home. And it just takes time. Like there's that 3 day, 3 week, 3 month, kind of saying where, you know, you've got to give them time to decompress and kind of take in other surroundings and learn the new routine and that sort of thing. So
no, that makes total sense. I also kind of like am curious too, like just because I know like how important, you know, us, if we need to go to the bathroom and we can't go to the bathroom, it's like a huge stress for like humans.
Sure.
I'd imagine it'd be kind of the same with dogs. Is that something that you've kind of ran into at all?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, dogs are really good at routine, right? So my dog Tulip, you know, her routine is she gets up in the morning, she has her little, we call it her wobble toy. We put some little treats in this little toy. She does that, then she gets her breakfast, and then she sits on the couch for a few minutes, and then she wants to go potty. And it's like literally like clockwork every single day. And then, you know, I could almost like tell you what time it is based upon when she goes to the door.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I think whether it's adopting a new pet into your home where you don't know what their previous, you know, routine was, were they going outside? Were they going on a potty pad, or were they, you know, did they have accidents in the house? And so I think it's, again, just really important that whether it's a a new pet, a puppy or kitten, or adopting, that you give them time to get to know like what the new routine will be, and make it something they can count on. So they're not always kind of second guessing it. Well, like yesterday we went out as soon as I got up, and not that they're thinking that exact thing, but you know what I mean? Like they will pick up on routine very, very quickly. And I think keeping that as consistent as possible is really important. Even like the spot, like you can probably relate to this. I bet your dog, when you let Oakley outside, does he generally go to the same area to do his business?
Yes.
Yeah. So even that's part of their routine. So I think even the location where they go, the surface where they go, maybe you live in this city and you know, it always blew my mind how a dog would like go to the bathroom on the sidewalk because, you know, I've never lived in a city environment like that. And I can't imagine my dog choosing that, but that's what they have. Right. So yeah, it's, I forgot what the question was.
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're just ranting now. It's we're just flowing, but I mean that does tie us into Fresh Patch, of course, and the product that we provide. And you know, you say I'm the same way. It's like so these dogs are just going down on the sidewalk and like just doing their bit. Like okay, I mean, but that makes sense. That's the routine. That's all there is. So that's where we come into play. We're like, hey, you can make a better solution for your pet. You live high up. There's no grass in sight. Bring that real grass in for them and everything. So,
and they would much rather go. Well, I'm not speaking for every dog, but you know, dogs would much rather go on a natural surface. You know, when we first adopted Tulip, we were also foster failures, but we adopted her as a puppy, and I'd never had a little dog before. And some little dogs take longer to housebreak than others. And you know, we're going back like 6 or 7 years, and this little girl who she's like perfect now, but for like 9 months she was not perfect. She was, you know, she decided that the dining room rug was her place to go, and which was not cool. But she was so used to that surface, so we finally got her going outside. But I digressed again. But just the point being that I think Fresh Patch is a great way to kind of establish that routine. Right. Whether it's the location that the dog is going to use all the time, like in a high rise or something like that, or just when you travel, or just when the weather is too extreme to go outside. It's part of their routine. It might not be their every time routine, but it's like, oh yes, and it's easier than, you know, expecting them to go on the grass outside and then on a pad inside.
For sure.
Exactly. And that goes right back to what you're saying. Now they're confusing it with maybe the rug or something if you're doing pads and grass and everything. And, you know, the convenience, the routine for the dog, of course, but also for the pet parent themselves. You know, you're creating a routine. Let's just say you are living in a high-rise apartment, you know. Instead of going all the way down to concrete, now you're setting that routine. Sliding door goes open. They do their business on the patch. Everyone, both parties are happy.
Everybody's happy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know? So, very cool. Yeah. So, going back now, we're hopping around. Let me see. What should pet parents consider staying on the Fresh Patch kind of side of things? What should pet parents consider when creating safe spaces for anxious pets at home? And how can Fresh Patch kind of be involved in that?
Yeah, I like that question because, you know, we're recording this before July 4th holiday. And so a lot of people have been asking me, oh, what can I do, you know, to keep my dog, you know, who's afraid of noises? How can I prepare him for this holiday? And I've been talking about creating like a calm space. And typically that's, you know, a room in the home that they're comfortable, that's kind of quiet. Maybe it doesn't have an exterior wall. Maybe their favorite bed is in there, or a crate. If you use a crate, favorite blankets. I always make sure I'm playing. We love dog TV here at my house, so we turn dog TV on. So we've got visuals and audio that's specifically designed for your dog to engage. And then I could totally envision Fresh Patch being part of this calming zone, because if they have to go potty and you don't want them going outside to hear the noise. Yeah, I mean, you've gone to all this effort to make a calm zone. Now you got to take them out.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Exactly.
So you know, implementing fresh patch as part of the calm zone so they can, do their business there, or even just as an enrichment activity. So like maybe sprinkle some treats into the fresh patch and they have to kind of forage for it, or dogs, anytime you bring something new into the house, they've got to check it out. So I think it would be really, really interesting for them, and cats too.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
No, especially the foraging with the cats. We've learned a lot, just a little bit of catnip in the grass and they are going
Oh, yeah.
nuts.
Party.
Yeah. Oh, it's a party for sure. And you make a good point too, bringing something new in. So for any viewer, I know this will be released after 4th of July, but for next year or just anytime your pet is having
even
anxiety,
when you're leaving the house. Yeah.
Exactly.
Even if you're just going to work or you're going to be gone, or maybe a pet sitter's coming into the house, and just giving them a little bit of nature and a little bit of things that they're, to keep them calm.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Oakley doesn't really he's very potty trained, won't not go inside. He will hold it or whatever, but he loves laying on the grass. Like we have obviously some on display in our lobby and stuff, and he just lays on our XL size and he's just chilling, and you can tell it's just just that grounding mat, that enrichment. He's just like, I just want to be on some grass,
Well, and some dogs just love to they lay on their back and they do the
gotta get
back
that itch
roll on and get the
It's so funny, you talk about routines. I had a patch in my office for a while, and I swear Oakley would come in every day, and I was thinking he was gonna say hi to me, but then he'd just go up to the grass and just scratch his snoot on it.
Yeah, he loves doing the chin itch on the patch.
Yeah.
Poor Gabe, he's just like, all right,
I'm like, cool,
chopped liver over here.
Well, think about it. There's some really interesting natural smells in the grass, right?
Definitely.
I mean, sorry, Gabe, but maybe that's just a little more interesting.
I don't blame him. It's all good, Oakley. I'll still love you no matter what.
Yeah,
right.
He loves you too. No,
it's really funny though too. Just to bring it back to bunnies for a quick second, but we have one of our social media partners that we work with is one of those giant Flemish rabbits, and he's huge, and he just is obsessed with the patch, chinning it, rolling around. I'm like, I've never seen anything like it.
A quick little, it's so
it's
cute.
Awesome to see.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so
I mean, really, for any pet, I can imagine, just rabbits, guinea pigs, I'm sure you have customers that have, a wide variety of pets.
Oh yeah, we do. That's why our slogan is "Good pets get it." So it's just not only for potty enrichment in general. Yeah, we have a lot of guinea pigs. A pig, I think we've been working with an actual pig. I know, lizards and stuff too. It's just turtles. Turtles love it too. They just like to go in there, nibble on it and stuff. It's just. It's just something nice to give them, especially if they're strictly indoors. So
exactly,
very cool.
Love
awesome. And I wanted to ask too, could you give us a little more insight, or maybe explain a little bit what being fear-free certified means and why it matters?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So Fear Free was started, ironically, it was started 10 years ago, just the same year that I started Pet Anxiety Awareness. Totally unplanned. Totally unplanned.
Everyone was in the same mindset 10 years ago.
I know. We're all figuring it out together. Dr. Marty Becker, who you may or may not know, he's pretty famous. He started Fear Free because he recognized as a veterinarian that, oh my gosh, we can do so much better for the pets in our care by being more mindful about how they're treated when they come to see us. Because, for some pets, it's very scary to go to the vet. Some dogs, some pets, enjoy it, oh, new friends. But, they, during an exam, they get a little poked and prodded and sometimes blood drawn. And so it can be scary. For some pets. So he came up with a certification program for veterinary professionals, both vets and techs and anybody that works in the field, that kind of teaches different methods for bringing down the stress at the hospital. Like, for example, I remember I saw him speak once, and he was talking about how he sprays down his coat, his doctor coat, with pheromones before he goes into each new exam room. Or when your pet gets there, they immediately get a Kong with frozen peanut butter inside. And it's you're just piling on all these positive experiences with the veterinary visit experience. And Fear Free Certified is basically, it's like a test that people in the pet industry could take. Originally it was just for the veterinary side, but it's expanded into grooming, training, and probably some other area. Now there's fear-free happy homes too. So I took this this certification test many years ago, and I had to study for it. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, I'm not a vet, so I didn't take the vet version, but it's really interesting, just all the different things you can do. Everything from practicing the ride to the vet, and maybe going to the vet and you just go in and you weigh your pet and then you leave, so that your dog or cat starts to realize, oh, sometimes we go there and we just get treats,
It's just a stop.
So,
it's just a stop that week.
Exactly. And now pet parents can choose fear-free certified vet hospitals, groomers, trainers, if they have a pet that maybe needs that little extra support, or even if not, I mean, who wouldn't want to choose a professional business that is going to be that mindful about your pet's mental health?
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah. It's really cool to see that becoming more of a thing, and talking to people like you that are, we can educate our viewers and listeners and everybody to let them know that this is a thing. You can have the fear-free approach and stuff.
That for humans, honestly.
Right?
The doctor and get a treat. That'd be awesome.
Right?
We're gonna have your favorite meal
or the dentist.
when you show up. Go ahead and eat, relax, and we'll get started.
I think I'm an advocate for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hey,
right.
maybe that's the next career path. We just create.
Awesome.
Very cool. So, tying it back to Fresh Patch again, and we kind of touched on this a little bit, but how can indoor real grass solutions remove potty-related stress for both the pet and the parent?
Yeah, for the pet and the parent. Well, for the parent first, I mean, convenience.
Yeah.
It's natural. You guys grow that in the USA, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, you can feel really good about, your purchase. You're not filling landfills with those nasty potty pads. And then for the pet, it's a natural surface. I mean, it's interesting to them. It's natural. They get to sniff. It's an enrichment tool for them, as well as just a normal place to do their business. And I mean, there's other things too for the convenience. Just like we're talking about, if you live in a condo or an apartment in a city, a high rise, and maybe it's winter and it's 42 below. I mean, who wants to go out in that? So this is just a great solution for that. And even for, I would guess, now I know you've talked to dog trainers, but I would guess that it's easier to train your pet to go on grass than a pad. I mean, I had zero luck training Tulip to use a potty pad. She preferred the dining room rug. Yeah. So
there you go. Yeah. And then that's associating other smells. That's what we always tell, like, especially the plastic. Now, anything else that smells similar that is plastic, they're like, oh, that's where I can go. They're lifting their legs on random things. The rug.
Exactly.
The doorpost or something, whatever it is. So we've gotten, I mean, that's a big part of our message to customers. Obviously there is training involved. Not every dog is going to take to it right away, but it being a natural surface that they can smell, they can maybe dig around and really get familiar with is huge difference between a pad.
I thought of one more thing so before you guys were around, I mean, there were fake grass pads. That's not convenient in my opinion. I mean, first of all, not a fun substrate for a pet to go on. It's not natural. And then the cleanup, with Fresh Patch, the liquids and the odors get absorbed, so you're not having to clean it out. So anyway, that would be a mess.
Yeah, and we still deal with that. We still deal with the the astroturf, the artificial turf, and people come back to us, and ours is just a disposable product versus that piece of turf where you have to scrub it, clean it. You're really not cleaning it that well. It's creating mildew. I went through it once, and it's just like
those smells stick around too.
The smells stick around. I know turf gets hot too. That's another thing we tell people as the summer comes around, and maybe you're living in Arizona or wherever. I know a lot of people in California are removing their grass to install turf, and it's like, there's some potty system turfs that are draining, but once they get their paws on, now we're doing hot paws. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
There's so many layers to plastic pee pads, artificial turf that. our product is just, it's almost becomes a no-brainer. You know, it's just
Exactly.
like, why are we even messing with these other substrates? Like, just get the
Exactly.
real grass, people. So, very cool. Yeah. So thanks for that insight. You know, it's always great to hear from people like you the benefits of real grass, and you know, we're the marketing
Yeah.
team, of course. You know, it's
Yeah.
our job. We don't want, you know, people might get sick of hearing it from us, but hearing it from professionals like you is always very beneficial. So thank you.
Oh, well, just tell it like it is, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
it's a relatively easy sell.
Yeah,
For sure.
definitely.
Awesome. So yeah, like just want to give you the floor to give any sort of advice that you think might help pet parents who are balancing potty routines, you know, with a fearful dog's emotional needs. Because I know there's like probably a lot of challenges there as well.
Yeah. Earlier I mentioned fear when we're talking about noise phobia. I mentioned that some dogs are afraid of construction noise or just even big city noise. And I was some of the content we created this year for Pet Anxiety Awareness Month was Dr. Lisa Radasta did this. It was about noise phobia, and she was talking about a client that she had where suddenly the dog just started peeing on the bed and just didn't want to go outside. And this is a dog who had faithfully gone potty outside always. And what it came down to was there was construction going on in the neighborhood. You know, temporary, but it was like, you know, going on for a couple of months, like a house being built next door or something like that. I can't remember what the exact thing was, but that's like fear, stress, and anxiety can slip into your pet's life, you know, just very easily, and you don't notice it. Like, you know, oh, there's a house being built next door. It's going to be noisy for a couple months. But your pet doesn't know that. You know, they're just freaked out because they're, you know, quiet sanctuaries now.
Yeah.
There's something going on. They don't understand. And going, you know, when our dogs or cats are going to the bathroom, that's a vulnerable position, right? They can't, you know, they're vulnerable. They're you know, in one place. They're not, you know, it's easy. It's not as easy to just run off. So they, you know how thoughtful dogs are about choosing their spot outside, right? Like they circle.
Yep.
You know, it's like a whole thing, and to
Right.
figure out exactly where they want to go. So, you know, it's a bit of a vulnerable moment. So, again, I think anytime that a pet needs an alternative to going outside, whether it be temporary or, you know, frequently, the fresh patch is a fantastic option. And that's before we, you know, even talk about the enrichment benefits.
Totally.
Definitely. Yeah, I know Oakley sometimes he's a bush pooper. He loves to slam his butt into a bush or like tuck next to one, and I'm like, man, you just need you just want like your own little stall. Like you're all, you know, it's so
that's
funny.
funny.
And, like he's getting better now, like now that we've had him for a while, so he'll poop on grass when I'm on a walk or something. But for the most part, I'd say 95% of the time he is trying to find a bush. Yeah, he's backing it up into a bush, or there's one around our office here that is literally like perfectly cut out. So when he's bent over, he's like just in there perfectly. So, kind of what you were saying, like they're vulnerable. So I'm like, and he's trying to be private with it. Don't look at me type of approach, you know. And I know there's been times where he's trying to go and he's about to squat and he does hear a noise or something, and then he stops and he's just like, no, I can't do it here. I can't do it here. Let's find another spot. Now he's
all right, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah, now he's panicking for it. He's like, oh god.
It's so funny. I actually like heard recently, like, people always talk about like when your dog's peeing or going poo, like they'll stare at you dead in the eyes. And I've always wondered why that was, but I guess it is because like they're like, yo, watch my back. Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this.
You got my 6 or what? Like, I got your 6.
It's like when you go in a stall that the lock doesn't work. You're like, your friend's like, hey, watch the door for me.
Yeah. Make sure no one gets.
Yeah, can you just stand outside for a second?
Exactly.
I don't want anyone barging in right now.
It's so funny, but it makes total sense.
Yeah, no, it does. I didn't want anybody. I'm vulnerable, you know. We're all vulnerable. Don't barge in on my stall. Like, don't blame you, Oakley. You know, keep going in the bushes, bud.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. Amazing. So that wraps up all our questions for today, Kristen. Really enjoyed having you on. This was a great conversation, and I hope the viewers get something out of this as well. And
thank you so much for having me. I think that, you know, the great news about pet anxiety is that we know more about it today than ever before, and we're always learning more. And just if your listeners want to go to petanxieTyawareness.com, they can find out all the different resources. They can watch the content that we created, and you guys are on there too, so
yes,
you can read more about Fresh Patch.
Definitely, yeah. I think we're in such a digital age, we always say, so it's just we can spread so much awareness on a topic like this, which is so beneficial. So like you heard Kristen, check it out. Check out our website. Check out freshpatch.com. If you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Follow at Fresh Patch on all socials. Follow Pet Living with Kristen on social media as well. Freshpatch.com. If you have been having potty struggles and you have been looking for that solution, we got you covered. Freshpatch.com. Real grass potty solutions, treats to reward them, make them feel less anxious. We got you covered. Reach out to us. We'd be happy to help. And thanks again, Kristen. This was amazing.
My pleasure.
All right. And awesome. For all the viewers, we will catch you next time on the Fresh Patch Podcast. Later.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to the Fresh Patch Podcast, where good pets get it. We hope you enjoyed the show. Give us a like or a follow and shop all real grass supplies at freshpatch.com.